Hola, buenos días.
Buenas tardes, buenas noches.
This is Barb.
And this is Estela.
And welcome to
Cafecito.
And Crime.
So, Barbara Yanez,
Yes.
do you want to tell our listener friends
Listener friends.
how you ended up with 11 stitches on your face?
Yes.
Okay.
So yesterday night, I went to work out yesterday. I did all of my thing I usually do. I didn't do nothing different. Then I went to lay down and I talked to you. And then I talked to my husband and I was like, oh, I need a shower. It's already 9. I got up to go shower and I was holding my phone and I was looking down on my phone. And then I just remember saying, oh, and then I passed out.
And fell into?
My wall corner towards my bed, like right there in the wall corner, whatever. And then my daughter said I was crying, but I don't remember crying. And then she said that she heard a thump. So she ran in there. She thought I had dropped something. And then when she ran in there, I remember calling out for my husband, but my husband's not home. So then I was like,
He's out of town.
So I was like, oh shit, I'm alone. So I got up, me levanté, y me empecé a lavar la cara. Because I'm like, I saw blood, pero yo no sabía where was it coming. I thought it was my mouth porque me dolía. So then I couldn't figure out. And then when I looked in the mirror, I was like, oh, I need stitches.
Yeah.
And then I called you and we ended up at the hospital. And now I have 11 stitches and my eye is swollen. It's getting better on and off.
I mean, for it being not even 24 hours,
Yeah.
like it's pretty good. At least it's not completely, it's swollen, pero no está cerrado completamente.
No. O sea, puedo ver and everything. And
you have a scratch on your cheek and you have a bruise under your chin.
And a big bruise. And then I think I have another one like on my arm or something.
Oh, you have some scratches on your arm. And in your lip.
In my lip, yeah. So, yeah, I passed out and all I remember was getting up and de pedo me levanté because I was like, oh shit, like I don't know what's going on. Like I didn't know. All I heard was my daughter screaming.
Yeah.
And I didn't know why she was crying. And I was like, what's wrong? Come here. And she's like, no. And it was just blood everywhere.
Your face.
Yeah. And I was like, wait, what? And then when I went to start washing my face and like getting it off is when I realized that I was bleeding because I didn't even,
well, you saw your wound. I mean, it was open.
It was opened. Yeah. And that's when I was like, oh yeah, I need stitches. Yep. Yeah.
But you're okay.
Yeah. I put pressure on it and everything was fine. I think last night I was more like worried, like, oh my God, this is happening to me again. You know, I'm always falling, algo me pasa. So I was like, oh my God. And I was more emotional than anything. Pero yeah, today I've done a lot better.
Well, even then, after cuando nos pasaron to like the emergency room to the bag, you were like, okay, finally I'm being seen, you know?
Yeah. I think that driving, because we had to drive to another hospital because the one we were at was full. So then eso también me puso medio like,
how long am I going to wait?
How long?
Te dolía.
Me dolía.
Like it's starting to hurt.
I couldn't open my eye yesterday because
you have it
I have it covered. And then I was putting pressure because I'm like, I don't know if I'm bleeding. Si me lo quito, am I going to bleed? Like I had no idea what to do. So, but yeah, everybody there was really nice. Their urgent care was amazing. We just walked in, and that was it.
Yeah, we're there for what, maybe like 2 hours,
maybe. And I got my CT. They checked my head. They told me everything was good, and that was it.
Got your stitches, and on our way
got home at 12.
Yeah,
a little bit after 12.
And I'm like, I need gas.
Yeah, Stella needed gas. And she's
like, we'll make it.
I was like, please do not stop for gas. I think that if you stop for gas, I'm gonna pass out. Because that's whenever I was like, I guess my anxiety también todo like at the same time. And then I was trying to breathe, but I couldn't because I had the garra on my face.
Yeah.
You know,
like one of your left side was completely covered. So you literally couldn't see. You're like, I think I split my lip. And I was like, no tienes nada. Like your lip is fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was,
I was
literally
like, I think my lip or like something here. And it was my face. Sí me pegué en la cara y sí, I mean, it's pretty deep, so it's gonna be a scar.
Yeah.
Pero nothing that it could have been way worse.
Yeah.
Like it could have been worse. I thought que ya me había tumbado los dientes or something, pero no.
It was just
my
like right here on her left eyebrow, like right where your left eyebrow eyebrow begins.
Yeah.
Like what, 2 inches para arriba?
Yeah, a little bit.
And then it just like goes down to like right under your eyebrow where
Yeah.
your eyebrow bone was.
Yeah, because I could have hit my eye.
Right. Yeah.
Like I could have hit my nose. I could have broken my nose.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of things could
could've
have.
happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pero I'm like, from all the places I could have fallen in the whole room, I
Right
could
in
have
the
fallen on the
corner.
bed, or back. Pero no,
On the way to, and you hit a corner.
a corner on the way to
Oh,
the
and
restroom.
then when the doctor saw you, that she
Yeah.
te quitó un pedacito de wall paint
Yeah, I had a wall paint
and
inside of
your,
my
your
wound. Yeah. Yeah. So it was a pretty hard hit. I mean, I'm not small. So when I fell, like all of this body weight just fell.
Forward,
And I
yeah.
remember, like, in my mind, I was like, oh no. And then
Como not trying to laugh, but como el monkey, the
Yeah.
little meme.
oh no. I said, oh no. And I turned around to try to get water because I felt like I was getting really dizzy. And when I grabbed the water, when I tried to grab it, I couldn't move anymore. And then it was black. I literally was out maybe like,
How long do you think you were out? Like what, 30 seconds, a minute?
not even. No, less.
Like right as soon as it happened,
Yeah.
ya luego,
Uh-huh.
like you were like, oh shit.
Yeah, I was like, oh shit. I was like, lo primero me acordé, estoy sola, no tengo, like the kids are here by themselves. I need to get up.
Yeah.
Because I kept calling for my husband, but I was like, wait, he's not here. Entonces ya me levanté en chinga y me empecé a limpiar y ya, and everything was good. Emma, my daughter did not want to get close to me. She's like, and I'm like, dude, it's
But
okay.
she was freaking
But
out.
she was freaking out. She didn't know what to do. And then I was like, okay, now and then I sat down in my bed and I was like, okay, I need to think about what I'm going to do because if I call the ambulance, they come. Yeah, but then what am I going to do with the kids? So then if
It's
I
because,
call,
they're old enough to stay home alone, but they were freaking out.
Yeah.
So tenían, and then it so happened that cuando, like, I picked you up and we left, like, te habló Alex.
Yeah, my husband
And then
called
when
me.
we were on the other way to the ER, que nadie, like, my sister never calls me that late, and she FaceTimed me. She's
Yeah.
like, where are you going? And we were like, everybody, like, called at the same time.
At the same time, yeah. And my sister, like, I ended up calling my sister because
I mean,
needed to
you
tell
guys had
her.
already been texting back and forth.
Yeah, and they were texting me about something else, and I was like, hey, I need to tell you something. So I finally told my sister, and then I was like, but I'm fine. She's like, well, I have to worry. I'm like, I know you're gonna be
Yeah.
worried, but
Especially
I
'cause
promise
she's not here.
I'm fine. I'm like, I'm fine, okay. So
Yeah.
then I just sent her the picture, and she was all like, oh my
Freaking
god,
out.
But it's okay. I am okay. I just feel like my body is achy,
Yeah.
and like my head hurts a lot.
Yeah.
Like de repente I'll be sitting there and it's just like it'll start hurting.
pounding.
Y
Yeah.
luego like my eye, the problem is como ya ahorita pues ya pasó tiempo, my eye's starting to swell y se me quiere cerrar. So like earlier casi estaba cerrado, pero ya ahorita like I've been putting ice on it. Like she told me, the lady yesterday, the doctor, and me estaba poniendo el hielo y yes, it has been helping me to be able to open my eye. So antes de irme a dejar a mi daughter to school to the tryouts, then I went ahead, or the clinic or dance, whatever. I went ahead y me puse ice y ya pude abrir bien el ojo. She even was like, oh my God, mom, you can actually open your whole eye. Pero ya ahorita I can feel it getting heavier donde está swelling. Pero,
Yeah.
I mean, I've been taking my medications, everything. I ate, I drank a whole bunch. I've been drinking water. Like I've been doing my best to keep hydrated because I think that's what happened. I was dehydrated. Porque I struggle a lot with drinking water. Más cuando, because you work from home y estás aquí nada más y no te da sed. I mean, you're just sitting here.
You're just sitting down, yeah.
And so I'm like, me tengo que estar recordando, hey, drink water. And sometimes I realize what time it is y ya son las pinches 12 and I haven't drank any water, or whatever.
So if you're listening, drink water.
Drink water. Do your hydration.
Whatever it is that looks like.
Yes,
yeah.
Because it is not pretty. And now I'm sitting here and like I was telling Estella last night, I'm like, I feel so stupid. I feel stupid because I know better than that. Like I know that I'm not supposed to do this to myself. And then I worked out for over an hour. And then I didn't drink water.
Pendeja.
I didn't drink water when I came home. I didn't. And I'm like, oh my God, like I worked out for over an hour. I was catching Pokemon and shit, sweating. And then next thing you know, I'm like on fucking, so todo
we were,
se me
I mean,
subió.
'cause we were literally on the phone like 15 minutes before, and you were like, yeah, I went outside, I was catching Pokemon, I was running, and you said,
Yeah.
I hadn't ran in a long time.
Yeah,
so.
and I was running and I was doing good. I was like, yeah, I can't wait. I'm going to go tomorrow otra vez. Y que no sé qué. Yeah, right, girl. Sit your ass down. So, but today we will be going where, Estela?
Okay, so for today's case, we are going to Springfield, Missouri.
I think we've been to Springfield.
My cases haven't, not that I can recall, but I don't know si tú.
No, yo me acuerdo porque I even said it was like the Simpsons Springfield.
Oh, I think I do remember that. Yeah.
So maybe we have been to Springfield.
Okay.
Pero, well, if you'd like to come with us to Springfield, Missouri, go ahead and grab your cafecitos.
And let's get started. Now that you said that we might have been there, yo no me acuerdo if these fun, random, interesting facts van a ser los mismos.
No, pero como quiera, we need to say them again para que we can remember.
Yeah, remind. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, number one is that Springfield is the birthplace of Route 66. Okay. So Route 66 is also known as the quote unquote Mother Road and is famous for being the nation's first all-weather highway connecting Chicago to Los Angeles.
Nice.
The original route is no longer in service, but 85% of the road is still drivable under different names and numbers. And it's marked with, historic signs that say historic Route 66.
Kind of like the cars.
That was my next line. Mm-hmm. It is also where Lightning McQueen gets stranded in the movie Cars in a town along Route 66. It's Radiator Springs. Radiator Springs. Yeah, it's not a real town, but ahí está.
It is in Disneyland. It's a real thing, and I was there.
Yeah,
and I got on Mater. I rode Mater. Yep.
So fact number 2 is that Springfield is also home to Bass Pro Shops.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's my sister's favorite store.
Really?
I don't know why would that be her, but she loves it there. I don't know.
It is where it got its start in 1972. Ooh. And the headquarters is still located there today.
Because that's a huge store.
Yeah, it is.
Huge.
It is. And the fact number 3 is that, I guess it's like a little entertainment fun fact, is that Brad Pitt grew up in Springfield.
Cool.
And he wasn't born there though, but he grew up there. And he still has family there living today.
Nice. Mm-hmm. Hello, Brad Pitt's family that I'm pretty sure listening to our podcast.
Now, as always, I feel like we always say this.
Yeah.
Today's case is wild.
Yeah, we always say that.
Like, I don't even know how to describe it. And not that there's ever a good explanation, but there truly is. No words. There's no words that can describe it. So we're going to be talking about the Staudte family murders, also known as the antifreeze murders, which took place over a 14-month period.
Okay.
So I know you did family murder last week. It was not like we did not plan this because tú no me dices the case that you're working on, not until you my case either. So it was just kind of worked out that way. So the Staudte family consisted of Mark, Diane Staudte, and their 4 children. So let's begin with Mark. Mark Allen Staudte was born in St. Louis, Missouri on April 7th, 1951 to parents Henry and Dorothy Staudte. He was 1 out of 5 children, if I'm not mistaken, and he attended and graduated from John College in Winfield, Kansas, which was a school affiliated with the Lutheran Church. It was there that he would go on to meet his future wife, Diane. So Mark was described as fun and lovable. He was very easy to get along with and seemed to be like a chill guy. According to his brother, Michael, who we will hear from a couple of times here in today's case, Mark developed a taste for music very early on, and he was always writing his own songs. In 1984, he met Diane at a bluegrass music festival. According to Diane, he was very nice, and they just fell for each other.
That is so cute.
She was born on April 5th, 1962, and I wasn't really able to find much about her younger years, besides the fact that her mom began to teach her how to play piano at the age of 3.
So she liked music as well. They had that in common, at least.
Yes. Mm-hmm. So music was very big in Diane and Mark's relationship, and it's what drew them together. The relationship appeared to be going well, and soon Diane became pregnant with the couple's first child. According to Michael again, he was Mark's brother, he seemed very happy and excited. The couple got married on December 28th, 1985, and then Sean was born July 2nd the following year. So like a good 7 months later. So over the next years, the couple would go on to have 2 more children. After Sean, it was Sarah, and then Rachel. In 1994, they ended up in Springfield, Missouri, where they were part of the Redeemer Lutheran Church. The home that they lived in was a modest home, but it was small. It was only 900 square feet.
Wow, that is small.
So with 3 kids at the time and 2 adults, I mean, it's cramped, Now, Diane was the breadwinner in the family. She was a nurse. And Mark was a stay-at-home dad.
Oh, okay.
He unfortunately couldn't hold a job for long, and all he truly mostly focused on was his music. According to Michael, while Mark did stay at home, he didn't help with maintaining the home and was kind of a slob.
So he was the stay-at-home dad, but he would just basically watch the kids, that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Like he wouldn't, no ayudaba con la casa como limpiar, ni recoger, ni nada. Mm-hmm. Okay, all right. Well, if that works for him.
So Diane was working full-time, trying to maintain a home and, with 3 young kids. Having kids, I mean, as I'm sure we all know, comes with a lot, and they all have their own special needs. Well, not special needs, but their needs. It was apparent that something was going on with Sean, and it wasn't until he was in the 5th grade that he was formally diagnosed with autism. Mm-hmm. And it appeared to Mark's side of the family that Diane had a hard time coming to terms with his diagnosis.
Because you were in the medical field, you don't,
and then
especially
back then,
and it wasn't something that was out there like it is now. A lot of the times there's a lot more information that people can get for you
and more
out there.
It's more known now than it was back then.
So a lot of the times las personas que tenían eso no sabían, no entendían qué es lo que estaba pasando, qué le iba a pasar a mi hijo. A ver, like a lot of the times piensan es el único, or and it's scary. It is scary. I mean,
then a lot of people judge you for it, or they single you out, and you don't want that for your child.
Now there's a lot of support groups and
right.
things like that. Like I said, resources that you can read, but back then,
so with Sarah, there was separation anxiety, which caused her to have like a lot of tantrums. Mark and Diane would actually go on to have their last child, Brianna, in the early 2000s. So it was apparent that Diane was understandably overwhelmed and most likely spread too thin. Again, it was a small house with a lot going on. I mean, now there's 4 kids in the home. Regardless, Diane recalls her children fondly, I guess you could say. She would go on to state that all her kids had their own little special interest growing up and referred to them as little professors. There is a term, the little professor syndrome, which is often used to describe children, particularly those with ASD, or as it was known, Asperger's syndrome, who exhibit interest in specific topics and talk at length about their interests. Sean liked to read about Sweden, architecture, and mechanics. Sarah was interested in French and learned the language. Rachel was into Japan, and she played a lot of musical instruments. Brianna, which she was the youngest, was gifted with computers and was into dinosaurs and cats. So,
me too.
Regardless of everything going on, Diane and the family were part of the Redeemer Lutheran Church, as I mentioned. They attended every Sunday, and Diane and Rachel were a big part of the music ministry at the church. They were in the praise band, where Diane played the church organ on Sundays, as well as other instruments. Y también Rachel, she was like a really good singer, so she was also involved in the band. So Jeff Sippy, the former pastor of the Redeemer Church, later stated that Diane seemed lonely and that Mark seemed like a gentle soul that just wasn't able to provide for his family. Mm-hmm. According to him, he saw that the family was overwhelmed and stressed, but that Diane never expressed to him that there were any major issues going on within the family, possibly such as Mark abusing alcohol. And
estaba overwhelmed también. He was just at home. He probably felt bad. I mean, no trabajaba. Not that he wouldn't work, but he wasn't the energy, or I don't know. You never know. Y empezó a tomar.
She also never let the pastor know that she needed help or that she was having any trouble. So Diane and Rachel weren't the only ones practicing music. As we know, music was Mark's love, and he joined a local band in the fall of 2011 called Messing with Destiny. He was their frontman and their lead vocalist, and he played the harmonica and, that sort of thing. Mark became close with his bandmates. Despite how close they all became, Diane never took the time to really get to know them and would later state that they weren't Mark's only friends. She claimed that he also ran around with others who did drugs.
Oh.
According to her. So, por afuera, from the outside, they were perceived to be just like a regular, I guess, well-rounded family, you know? A family whose lives were about to be turned upside down by tragedy. Not once, but twice, and almost a third time.
Wow.
This brings us to Easter weekend of 2012. On Friday, April 6th, Mark attended a recording session with the band. According to former friend and bandmate Charles Alexander, Mark was unwell that day. His skin color was off. It seemed yellow. And he was so out of it that he didn't even realize that they were there to record.
Wow.
Como que se le fue la onda completamente. When he got home, he was stumbling around, and so Diane helped him into bed so he could sleep it off. The following day was the 7th. It was a Saturday. Sean wrote on Facebook, quote, "My father is slowly getting sicker. His voice is slurred. His walking is wobbly," end quote.
What the hell?
On Sunday, the 8th, Diane wasn't worried much about Mark and left for church. She stated that
she's a nurse, so she probably...
And then she also stated that this was a new behavior from Mark and that he had done this in the past. So I guess kind of like alluding that bebió mucho, or he would just party too much, or se juntaba con these
people
friends.
with the drugs and stuff.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So she... So later when Diane got home, he was still sleeping, or so it seemed. At some point, she realized that he wasn't breathing, and so a call to 911 was placed. A Springfield police officer was dispatched to the Staudte home at 2444 West Page Street concerning a deceased person.
Oh, goodness.
When questioned, Diane stated that Mark had been feeling weak for the last few days, eating less and sleeping more than usual. She also stated that she checked in on him throughout the evening and would say a few words or just didn't respond at all. When asked about Mark's medical history, she stated that he didn't suffer from any seizures, but had suffered 3 that day.
What the hell?
The last one was 45 minutes before she found him unresponsive.
So he didn't have any prior history of having seizures, but that day he had 3?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So when asked why she didn't call 911 when the first seizure happened, she said that Mark stated that he didn't want to go to the hospital.
Well, I mean, it happens.
The officer didn't see any additional injuries on Mark, but noted dried blood around his mouth. Now, blood around the mouth is consistent with gastrointestinal bleed or an ulcer. There was also no sign of a disturbance or a struggle in the bedroom or throughout the home. When ambulance personnel arrived at the scene, they moved him from his bed to the floor in the hallway to perform CPR. There was also, cuando lo movieron, they also noticed that there was no additional blood like on the bed or the sheets or on his person. And sadly, Mark was pronounced dead.
Wow. How old was he?
He was 51, I believe.
He was young.
Yeah, 61, sorry.
Still young.
To announce Mark's passing,
my stomach.
Diane took to Facebook the following day and posted the following, quote, "For all my friends on Facebook. This past Sunday evening, Mark, my husband of 27 years, reached his eternal home." And then she also followed it with a Bible verse. At the time, his autopsy noted that his death was a result of prior medical issues. According to Diane, she and the kids weren't surprised since he just seemed to be getting worse and worse health-wise. But his bandmate and friend Charles was in total disbelief. He went to the Staudte home and asked Diane what happened, and she relayed with no emotion what happened those few days. Mark's memorial service was on April 20th at Redeemer Lutheran Church, where, at Diane's request, Messing with Destiny performed a tribute to Mark. That was his band. Afterward, according to Robert Mancuso, which was the founder of the band, Diane seemed more preoccupied with being the perfect host and didn't show any emotion.
She wanted to make sure everybody was like good, basically. Okay.
And then later, Mark was cremated.
Okay.
Not long after Mark's death, Diane received $20,000 from his life insurance policy, and she used that money to buy a new home for her and the kids on July 2nd. By this point, she was no longer working as a nurse and was working from home as a clinical supervisor or consultant for United Healthcare. So it appeared that the Staudte family was trying to move forward, a new start. Se movieron de casa, their dad passed away in that house. Mark passed away in that house. So,
they got a bigger home maybe.
Yeah. Not that they were living in this new neighborhood. The family kept to themselves. A former neighbor named Rhonda Anderson stated that when she saw that they would make it into the driveway, she would begin to walk in the direction to kind of introduce herself,
say hi,
make polite conversation. But the door to the garage would just close.
Yeah, that's some bullshit that I would do too.
Yeah,
I'd be running inside and shit. They're gonna talk to
me. She does recall seeing them from time to time, or she recalls seeing Sean mowing the lawn, but not much acknowledgement from the Staudtes.
Not saying hi, or algo así, o vecino, ¿cómo está?
Yeah, nada que ver. It's not like you would be like, hey, I'm gonna be out for a couple of days out of town, recógeme el mail or some shit. Nada que ver. So on September 2nd, a Springfield officer was dispatched again to the Staudte home at 1644 West Swan Street concerning a person who was not breathing. This person was Sean.
What?
Diane told the officer that she spoke to Sean the night before, and he told her that he hadn't been feeling well.
Okay.
She checked on him throughout the night and then went to church in the morning. Otra vez.
So she left.
Yes.
And went to church. And her son was not feeling well.
Yeah.
What the hell?
When she returned home around 12:30 p.m., she found Sean curled on the floor with a blanket over his midsection. She checked for a pulse, and so she immediately called 911. She stated to police that Sean had been experiencing flu-like symptoms, diarrhea, nausea, body aches, and headaches about 3 weeks before his passing.
Oh, crap.
According to her, she didn't take him to the doctor because he had managed to stay hydrated. Sadly, Sean had passed away just 147 days after his death.
What the hell?
He was 26.
Golly, he's so young.
Yeah.
¿Y se murió de qué? They don't know yet?
Again, the officer hadn't noticed any major injuries on Sean either, but he did notice what appeared to be dried blood around his mouth.
Like his dad, right?
At the time, according to his autopsy, the report stated that his death appeared to be a result of prior medical issues, a history of seizures, which was reported that he did suffer from. So when all of this was going on, neighbors or Rhonda noticed the coroner's van or vehicle outside of the Staudte home. So Rhonda, made her way over y tocó la puerta, and Diane obviously opened the door. So Rhonda was like, hey, what's going on? Do you need anything? Just if you need anything, let me know, Diane le dijo, that Rhonda says that Diane just went, oh yeah, my son died.
What the fuck?
With no emotion.
Oh yeah, I'm just here baking a chicken and my son died. Like, what the fuck?
Sean was described as a nice, friendly kid. And do you know what's, besides this whole thing being sad, do you know what's sadder?
What? There's nothing that can be sadder.
There was no obituary for him. There was no funeral.
What?
He was cremated like his dad. And I believe only 3 people gathered in the Staudte home to in remembrance of him,
Why?
It wasn't his sisters. It was Diane, the pastor at the time, again, Jeff Sippy, and the director of the music ministry from church.
What the fuck? She didn't let anybody in, or?
No, she didn't even let anyone know what had happened until she posted it on Facebook 3 weeks later.
What?
On September 21st.
That just doesn't sound good.
She said, quote, to my Facebook friends and family, it has been hard for me to come up with the right words, but here goes. On Sunday, my oldest child, Sean, died. Although he had been sick lately, we thought he was getting better. Thank you to those who called or messaged me. Please continue to pray for us during this time. And then she wrote, today we remember Sean's life. May he have a portion of the peace he now enjoys. End quote.
Wow. Okay.
So Towards the end of 2012, it was now just Diane and her daughters, Sarah, Rachel, and Brianna.
And nobody like brought up the situation of her just being like, nobody was like, hey guys, like something's not right.
I think people, because the autopsy, a natural death, a lot of people were just like, damn bitch, like you have bad luck, like fuck, háganse una limpia o algo. That December in 2012, Sarah graduated from Missouri State University. And it is reported that she studied French, and because, earlier French was what she was interested in. Like she was interested in the language. And she also studied history and hoped to work as a translator. Sarah was described as a friendly, hardworking young woman who had many friends. She appeared to, at this point, have her whole life in front of her. However, once again, tragedy would come knocking on the Staudte family door.
There's no way. There's no way.
On June 9th, 2013, Diane wrote on Facebook, quote, asking for prayers as my daughter Sarah is in critical condition in ICU tonight, end quote. According to Sarah's ICU physician, Dr. Isam El-Kadi, I think that's how you say it, sorry, sir, at Cox South Hospital, Sarah was in multi-system organ failure and needed life support for every organ since all of them were shutting down.
Holy shit.
And they couldn't figure out why.
I just feel like somebody needs to say something. Like, this is not okay.
So Dr. El-Kadi, I think that's, again, sir, sorry, stated that he had never seen a 24-year-old in that condition and had no idea what was happening. He was like at a complete loss. He was like,
24.
What the fuck? Yeah. When news of Sarah being in the ICU became known, for one person, things were not, sitting right. Como que okay, this is too much bad luck in this family, right? Since Mark's passing, former pastor Jeff Sippy had met with Diane to help with her grief in any way possible, but according to him, she seemed very nonchalant. She never expressed any feelings of sadness or that she was going through a hard time.
That's so crazy.
And in all his years of being in the church, he had never seen a family lose so many members in such a short period of time.
And be chilling. Like, what the hell?
He knew something was wrong.
Yeah, I would too. Shit, that's not okay.
So the former pastor, Mr. Jeff Sippy, called in an anonymous tip to the Springfield Police Department.
Finally, somebody did.
On June 11th, alerting them to the suspicious deaths of Mark and Sean, and now the critical condition of another Staudte family member, Sarah. The tip was investigated by Detective Neil McAmis. McAmis or McAmis? I don't know how to say it. I'm going to say McAmis. McAmis. Por ahí. He initially didn't think the tip was going to go anywhere. First, he looked into Mark's autopsy report, which stated what I mentioned earlier. He was found with blood around his mouth and again passed from natural causes.
Wow.
However, blood around the mouth is not really common in natural deaths.
Yeah, because you said earlier that it had to do with like a
gastro
or
an
like,
ulcer.
Or an ulcer, yeah.
He then reached out to the officers who were on the scene that day, and one of them mentioned to Detective McAmis about something that stood out to him that day. And that was that Diane, cuando Mark was on the floor at some point, Diane stepped over his body.
What?
And this officer was like, that's off.
I
like,
mean,
that's not right.
I understand that everybody grieves differently. Like, I really do understand, and I respect everybody in the way that they're like, hey, maybe I'm not
processing
things, or I'm in shock.
Yeah.
Pero there's certain things come
regardless,
on.
you just don't do
you
it,
said
right?
it yourself. You've been married for 27 years with this man, and for you to step over his body like that is not okay.
That, like,
yeah.
well,
that would raise my eyebrows.
Yeah.
Both of them.
Yeah. Ni más que nada más una, güey.
I don't know.
So McAmis then looked into Sean's autopsy report, which essentially stated the same thing as his dad's, So after finding out that information, McAmis went to speak to Sarah's physician on June 13th. So Dr. El-Kadi told Detective McAmis about Sarah and her condition, about all the tests that had been performed on Sarah, and yet they weren't able to narrow down what was wrong with her. So due to her age, because she was fairly young, they initially believed it may have been some sort of drug overdose.
There has to be like somewhere somebody's going to have to be like, hey, she's 24 years old. Like, what was her prior history? Did she have,
Right.
Somebody has to say something, dude. There's no way you're just going to.
But with all those tests came back negative for like any like drugs. The next theory was some sort of infection. Again, all those tests also came back negative. That same day, hospital staff informed Springfield PD that Diane visited for short periods of time, a couple of times solamente. She didn't appear to be too worried about Sarah's condition. She was making conversation and joking around with the hospital personnel, talking about she was going to go on vacation and that Sarah's situation wasn't going to stop her from going to Florida the following week.
Situation?
Yeah.
She's dying.
At one point, she mentioned that she wanted to stop Sarah's treatment.
What the Okay. Okay.
So Detective McAmis informed the doctor that they had received a tip from an anonymous source about how family members of the Staudte family, Mark and Sean, her brother, had died suddenly. And so he asked him if he suspected something odd in Sarah's case. And the doctor said yes. He believed now that Sarah might have been poisoned since all other tests with similar symptoms had come back negative. The first thing that came to mind was heavy metal poisoning, which includes, lead, mercury, arsenic, and, lithium, just to name a few. So these types of poisonings are rare and only special labs perform those tests. I think we talked about it
we have
before.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm. So tests for the poisonings were done. They were able to find a lab. And after a week, everything that they tested for came back negative.
Okay.
On June 20th, como que detective was like, okay, something's going on with this
Something
family,
has to
right?
be going on, yeah.
So he, told Diane, hey, I need to speak to you. So to, try to figure out what's going on. He began the questioning by asking her about herself in the church and, just general information about the family. When asked if Mark was as active in the church as she was, she said that he went, but that he wasn't too active. She also told him that, obviously he had passed. When asked if she had a son, she said, not anymore. He died due to a seizure disorder.
What the fuck?
So Diane didn't seem nervous and she was cooperating on answering all the questions because let's remember, like she had no clue that they were looking into the family. She just thought that they were asking her questions. So she could have walked out whenever she wanted. She didn't have to stay there. So the detective had to kind of tread lightly and not to spook her and to let her know that, they were on to her. After about 45 minutes into the interview, McAmis told Diane that Sean's autopsy was being re-examined.
Oh.
He told her that he had gotten in touch with the medical examiner and that a tissue sample that they thankfully still had of Sean was going to undergo different types of testing.
Okay. And what does she do? What does she react like?
Well, remember, because he was cremated. So the fact that they had this sample, was very, thankful. So very calmly, he told her that if any of these tests came back showing similar results to what was currently happening to Sarah, how would she explain that?
Oh, shit.
So Diane, then just kind of starts to change her story about what happened to kind of Mark and Sean, ¿verdad?
Uh-huh. She
said, quote, I don't know about my kids, but Mark had a lot of weird friends. Well, I don't know if I'd call them friends. Acquaintances, ? They were into drugs and all of that, end quote.
Okay.
So during the investigation, it was concluded that Mark drank and smoked weed, but that's it. There was no evidence that he was involved in any hard drugs. As far as Sean went, she said that he had been looking at certain things on the internet and that he'd been threatening to kill himself.
Okay.
In that same conversation, she also mentioned Sarah. And so Detective McAmis coaxed her to tell him what was going on, just kind of relating to her, making her feel comfortable. He's like, I'm a Christian too. You're a Christian. So they had that in common. So Diane, like holding her arms, she said, quote, there's a lot of arguments. And to cut it really short and sweet, I knew they were drinking antifreeze and I was so mad at them.
What?
End quote. And I just want to ask you a question. Do you know of anyone who just decides to drink antifreeze?
I don't think that I've ever met anybody.
Because who just decides to drink antifreeze?
They were just drinking it for fun.
Yeah, and she said that she was mad at them for drinking antifreeze.
What the hell? No.
Like, who just drinks antifreeze, bitch?
First of all,
If even let's say you want to commit,
that's not the way I'm going to go.
Yeah.
That's not the way I'm going to go.
You usually do it like
because
fast,
I don't want
right?
to feel sick.
You don't want to suffer.
Yeah. And why would I want to be drinking something nasty? Okay.
That's what she was saying, right?
Okay, ma'am.
McAmis told her, "We both know that they didn't know that they were drinking antifreeze."
Oh, yes. He probably from there, he was like, oh, I got you.
I got you, bitch.
I got you, bitch.
Tic-tac-toe in your face.
Yes.
And you knew because you were giving it to them. You can use this opportunity to set things right. People will know that you're sorry for what you did and that you're remorseful.
No, nobody's going to care that you're remorseful, bitch. You did it on purpose.
Calmly and somewhat somber, she says, quote, "I didn't know what else to do. I really didn't," end quote. He then asked her where she put the antifreeze, and she said in the Coca-Cola for Sean and Sarah, and in Gatorade for Mark.
What the fuck? She just straight out said it like that, calmly. Like, le valió madre. She's like, yeah.
When asked how much?
How much? Wow, I didn't know there was much.
Not matcha. When asked how much she put in, she said that she didn't know, just a little bit. So she gave them antifreeze 4 days and watched them get sick.
What the fuck?
And then die in Mark and Sean's case.
Oh my God. Like no fucks?
Like you saw them unwell.
Yes.
Your son is telling you that he doesn't feel good.
Yeah.
He's curled up in a ball, bitch, and you leave. Well, she knew what she did. It's not that she wasn't worried because he.
But I think she did have a little bit of remorse because she kept going to church. So I think she didn't want to see them die, but she needed
to be out of the house.
She needed to be out of the house. But she knew that they were dying.
But even at the same time, like that was part of her routine. She was always big into church. Yeah. Like that was her.
Well, see, pero I mean, she would. I mean, you are okay if you don't go in the morning to church. You can go in the afternoon. Yeah. You know, if she really wanted to stay there and care for them, then she would have been like, "Hey, I'll go later or whatever." You know.
Oh, I'll skip it this time around.
I think she knew that it was time for them to die, so se salía. You know, that's so fucked up. That's so fucked up.
McAmis asked her if she had ever done this to anyone else before Mark, and she said no. Essentially, in her reasoning as to why she killed Mark, she said, quote, "Hated his guts and just couldn't take it anymore."
Okay.
As for her son, Sean, she said that he would interfere with whatever she did to the point that it was getting in her way as far as her job. She said, quote, "I mean, he would walk into the bathroom if the door was shut. I mean, really just bizarre stuff," end quote. To get him out of the way, she'd tell him to go to his room or to go do something. She also described him as, quote, "worse than a pest."
Oh my God.
Dude, that's your son. He's autistic.
Dude.
Like,
what the hell?
Pinche.
Ay, qué coraje.
Wait. As for Sarah?
Yeah, what did Sarah do?
She pretty much said that it was because she was unemployed and wasn't contributing to the household.
What? Are you fucking kidding me? Pinche cucaracha. Oh my God. ¿Te imaginas? Toda la gente que es unemployed, everybody's gonna die?
Their family members.
What the fuck? That's so crazy. She wasn't doing nothing, so she had to die. I just feel like so she was just like getting rid of them as she
just
felt
graduated, bitch. Like give her some moment. Time.
Yeah. What the? Okay. Oh my God, that's crazy to me.
Diane also stated that she couldn't figure out a way to change or get them out of the house. She hated her life, but couldn't leave the house either. So she just snapped. She just lost it, she said.
So she gave them antifreeze for 4 days. Like, how is it that you're sitting there pouring that shit into your kids' Coke, soda, whatever it was, and Gatorade? Just leave. Like, she could have left. She didn't have to kick them out. She could have just been like,
she was the one working?
I'm leaving, guys. Y'all figure it out. Peace out. Y'all are over 18. Bye. Pero no, she decided to kill them.
I don't like, how do you, this is what I see, like, there are no words. How is this usually when, a spouse kills another spouse, a life insurance policy, I'm gonna get all this money.
I mean, she got $20,000. I'm
but
sorry, that's not a lot.
But that's not why she did it.
No, she didn't do it because she said she hated his guts. And him, okay, he was not doing nothing, estaba nada más en la casa, no limpiaba la verga, whatever. Pero
¿A matarlo?
Para matarlo, first of all. Todavía.
You don't want a divorce?
Yeah, or leave. Pero luego sus hijos, especially...
Y Sean, like...
Sean, o sea, que because él no sabía. O sea, tú les tienes que enseñar, hey, ¿sabes qué? Si está cerrada la puerta, toca.
Yeah.
If you don't show them, they don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, he's autistic. He probably had... I mean, if he got diagnosed in the 5th grade, then that means he probably had the mind of a 3rd grader.
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
Depending on what type of autism.
Exactly.
Though, yeah.
So let's say que sí. Entonces, he was 6, dijiste?
Yeah.
Bro, he didn't know what was going on. ¿Te imaginas nada más porque sí? Oh, you're pissed.
Pinche vieja y luego...
¿Y ella qué era? ¿Nada?
Oh, you know what word I heard that, like, I used it to describe her, and I was like, that's a good word.
What?
Porquería.
Ay, es una porquería.
Yes.
Eso es, una pinche porquería.
Yeah.
Sí, me encanta esa palabra.
I forgot about that word. I'm going to use it more often.
That's
pura pinche porquería.
Pinche porquería.
Yeah.
I like that. I like it.
Later, in a 2022 interview that Diane did with 2020, she said that she doesn't remember saying any of that.
Oh, se le olvidó.
Literally, the interviewer, she had what she had said verbatim, like, pinche vieja. I don't remember that.
Oh, I got it out of, I don't know from where. No.
Out of thin air,
yeah. Like, I'm going to just make that shit up.
In that same interview, which I'll reference quite a bit from here on out, she also said that she admitted to the poisonings because it was what she was told to say.
Who told her?
When asked who told her to say this, she said she couldn't tell, and that there was more to it than people knew, and that she couldn't get into it for safety reasons.
Okay, bitch, whatever. You're in jail. Or wherever she's at, prison, whatever, and you can't, safety reasons, but shut the fuck up.
It's been like, and this was in 2022, like, bitch, it's been like almost 10 years.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, adding on to the interview with McAmis, at that time, she said that she thought giving them the antifreeze would be fast and easy, and when they didn't get sick and die right away, she continued to feed it to them because she didn't know what else to do. How about you
stop, bitch?
Yeah. How about you don't do it?
Don't go and get 3 bottles of antifreeze from the store and pour it into these people's cups with Coke in them.
And her husband Gatorade.
Like, how about that?
How about you don't do that?
How about that?
Mm-hmm.
It could have been a good idea.
To stop.
Yeah. And then the fact that she didn't even fucking, like...
It wasn't easy. It wasn't fast. They didn't die right away. They suffered 4 days.
4 days. ¿Te imaginas el dolor or whatever it is?
And not knowing what's wrong with you?
Yeah, like you're, and then you're telling your mom that you think she's a healthcare provider, and you're like, Mom, me duele esto, lo que sea, and your mom is like, you're fine. Imagínate.
Yeah.
And
they probably took what she was saying.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, my mom is saying that I'm fine and that I'm going to get better. Yeah. I'm going to listen to her.
Yeah. Because she's a healthcare provider or whatever. Y le dice, no, pero here, drink some Coke. Feel better.
Para que no se te baje el azúcar.
¿Tú crees? Ay, no. Yo no entiendo esta gente a veces.
Ay, Dios mío, ayuda a la gente, por favor.
For real.
After admitting to poisoning her husband and 2 kids, she was placed under arrest and charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder, 1 count of first-degree assault, and armed criminal action regarding the injuries sustained by Sarah. All charges carry the maximum penalty of life in prison. So now that she was behind bars, this left Rachel with Brianna. And remember, Brianna, was the youngest one. She was 10.
Wow.
So Rachel, of course, is brought in también, into the police headquarters. And
I wonder qué le decía. Oh, here, I made you a drink or something,
We learned that she would give them in bottled drinks.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So like I just said, Rachel's brought in next, who, detectives informed her what her mother had done. She had killed her dad and her brother and, put her sister.
Feels.
So Officer Kevin Shipley breaks the news to her and she immediately begins to cry. He tells her, of course, take your time. We understand this is, really difficult. And then he essentially tells her, hey, look, your mom admitted to being the only one involved in the poisonings, but I have to ask you, and don't take this the wrong way, but did you have any involvement? did your mom ever confide in you about what she was doing? And Rachel said no. She said that her mom seemed frustrated at times, but that she just had no idea what was going on. And I think you never think that your mom's poisoning the shit out of you.
No, and not only that, but not because you don't have a job. And you're not providing.
I mean, it's not funny, but
like, what the fuck? Oh, you don't have a job, so I'm gonna try to kill you. Like, what is wrong with this? Instead of being like, hey, you know what? It's time. You should probably go out there and find yourself.
No,
a
wait, but
job.
and this is not like your husband that you chose to marry. This is your child.
You birthed that. You grew that child in your stomach. And you have the nerve. I don't know.
And she didn't do it to one. She did it to two.
But I feel like animals sometimes are better parents than humans.
Oh, they for
animals,
sure.
Dogs, cats, all of these.
All the animals.
Hasta raccoons. Like all of them are better parents or better,
than humans.
I mean, some of them do eat their people.
That's
kids,
a different
but that's
story.
a different story. I'm just saying, like, there's some animals that are better parents than humans sometimes. Yeah. Honestly.
Later that night, police executed a search warrant for the Staudte home in hopes of finding any evidence that could shed light on what had been going on. So the home, cuando llegaron, desmadre. Like, not like it was like a hoarder, no, but it was just stuff was in disarray. It was messy with clothes everywhere, books everywhere. There was a shit ton of laptops everywhere. I mean, I think everybody had a laptop.
There was one of her daughters that was into computers, so
yes,
maybe that's
that is
why.
True. Yes. There were other stuff, just bottles everywhere of shit, just una como canastos just knocked over, just a whole bunch of crap. In the garage, there was like a work table, como una bench, and on it was antifreeze. And close to it was a 6-pack of Coca-Cola.
Oh my God.
Another key piece of evidence was found back inside the home. There was stuff everywhere. And an item that there was a lot of were journals. In one of the bedrooms was a shelf with like files and other folders. And just thrown about on top of these files and folders was a purple journal. So it was just placed on there like nothing. It wasn't like como no lo estaban tratando de esconder or anything. It was literally just on top of like the shelf. This journal was taken as evidence. Okay. And when a detective, Detective Cole, was sorting through it, they realized its importance in this case.
Why?
There was an entry from June 13th of 2011. I believe that was the year. So this was a year prior to everybody's.
Yeah.
From Rachel. Rachel's a daughter.
Yes, I know Rachel.
Oh, you know Rachel?
Yeah, we're friends.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it said, quote, "It's sad when I realized how my father will pass on in the next 2 months.
What?
Sean, my brother, will move on shortly after."
The fuck?
This let investigators know that Diane wasn't the only one involved or knew about the poisonings.
Yeah.
Rachel knew as well.
Holy shit, that's crazy.
So
they found this like nada más en un libro, like just
a
like
journal.
And so they were like, oh, let me look through these books.
Yeah, because there were like there was always a lot of journals, like a lot of
books y todo eso.
Yeah,
like,
files, folders,
so isn't that
binders.
Crazy? Out of everything, that's the one that
stood out because it was just like puesta like right there. Like,
yeah,
right
that's
there.
So crazy.
Now, she was brought in the following day on June 22nd, where she was questioned by Detective McAmis. Oh, sir, I'm so sorry.
I don't think Detective McAmis really listens to our podcast, so he would hear you say that.
When asked if she was ever suspicious of her mom, she said, no.
Just like that?
No, tampoco así, güey. Like, she was just like, no, like... in a way of how could you even ask me that?
I see.
No, like haciéndose la ofendida, you know?
Yeah.
McAmis says, when I spoke to your mom initially, I got the sense that you guys were really close. Are you sure she never specifically mentioned that she wanted to harm your dad, brother, and sister? And Rachel said no. So she just straight up denied her involvement, right? She's just like, no, yo no sabía nada. I had no idea. Mm-hmm. Then McAmis slid copies of the journal entry in front of her.
Hey, girl, look at this, the receipts.
And asked her if she recognized it.
Uh-huh.
She couldn't deny it that it was hers.
No, I mean, it's her fucking writing and shit.
She said she did recognize it and that she wrote it. Now she began to tell her version of events. Pues.
Okay, ya le cambió un poquito.
In trying to explain the journal entries, she said that she had a bunch of bad dreams about her family members dying.
Oh.
Y que she went and talked to her mom about them.
Oh.
And then that's when her mom, Diane, confessed or mentioned to her that she was thinking about hurting them.
What the fuck? And why not be honest, though? She thought they weren't going to find them or what? Ay, no. Pero entonces la mamá es a little bit of a backstabber porque también la quiso matar a ella.
No, a Sarah.
Oh, a Sarah.
Sarah's the one in the hospital. Yeah. So McAmis obviously knew that whatever Rachel was saying was bullshit, right? Yeah. So he pressed her further. So he asked her what she told her mom after she had expressed, wanting to hurt them. And at some point, empezó a llorar, o si quieres decir, if you want to call that crying, porque pues it sounded fake as fuck. Rachel's como que nomás le salía llanto, pero no.
Nomás estaba haciendo el ruido, pero no lloraba.
Yeah. So Rachel said that she told her mom that it would be quick and easy, and that they'd be on to heaven soon, and that they'd be able to move on.
What? Move on from what?
From having a brother, a dad, and a sister?
I'm sorry. I mean, Mom, you had too many kids. You should have just had me.
Let's just annihilate half of the fucking family. Like, what?
Like, what? What the fuck? I'm scratching my head like, what?
Rachel went on to say that the reason her mom wanted to get rid of her dad, Mark, was for, quote, a little bit of peace, because he was a drain on her and on the family. She said this very calmly, no emotion, and that also money played a part. She stated that he had no concept of money and he was always out and partying.
Okay.
So se me hace que to me it seems that Diane les decía todas estas cosas a ella y ella se lo creía.
Yeah.
Concerning Sean, she said that they argued about Sean, as in if he should be killed.
Like maybe
Rachel said that she thought they could get rid of him by putting him in an assisted living facility, but that Diane wanted him out.
Oh my God. How can you say that about your own son? That's crazy.
About Sarah, she said the plan to kill her came about May or June. So either May, and June is when they did it, right? Like June is when it happened. The reason for it being, quote, she was nosy, very nosy. And other than the fact that she basically lived in the back bedroom and didn't have like any gumption to get a job, I'm not certain. Mom probably has her own issues with her.
What?
Quote. McAmis asked her, what about you? And she said, quote, she's annoying, yes, but I don't know.
Oh my God. Like, did the mom like brainwash her or something? Like, I'm so fucking confused right now.
When they decided what they were going to do, Rachel said that Diane decided on antifreeze because it has no taste. She said that they ordered a special one off the internet. And I believe we've mentioned it before, but or in other cases that involve antifreeze poisoning, that the alcohol component is ethylene glycol. And it is colorless, odorless, and it can be sweet tasting. So she said that Diane mixed the antifreeze into the drinks or the bottled drinks, the Coca-Cola or the Gatorade, and she would hand them out. So Rachel knew that if a bottle was like unscrewed or abierta, she knew not to drink it.
Wow. Y como no le dijo a su mamá, a su papá, like, don't drink that, dad, or something, like, you have no, oh my God. Okay. She's just as guilty as her mom.
Sure.
For sure.
See, as if that wasn't tragic enough, Rachel delivered another bomb.
What?
She stated that they had also decided to poison Brianna.
What? The little girl? Wow. Why?
She said, quote, because I know there is no way in hell I'd be able to take care of her. End quote.
Wow. I just don't understand how they just saying these things like como si nada, like, oh yeah, I did this, como que si they were telling you a story
about, a red light or something. Or,
hey, by
I
the
was
way,
speeding.
Or no, girl, I was, at work today and this happened. Like, no, you killed people.
And not just any people,
your family. And you were going to kill your little sister. Like, what? Okay.
Okay. Now, Rob Shermer, he was a former Band-Aid bandmate of Diane from the church.
He was a Band-Aid?
Bandmate. He stated that Rachel and Diane were really close, that they were like two peas in a pod. Out of the rest of the family, they were the most involved in the church as well as in the music ministry. So they had the most in common. In the same 2020 interview I mentioned just a little while ago, when asked if she had a favorite child, Diane said, quote, "Not really. A lot of people think I did, but not really." When asked who was most like her, she said Rachel. And when asked how Rachel was as a child, because remember, she described all the other ones, you know, cómo se portaba Sean, que Sarah tenía like separation anxiety and all that stuff. So Rachel as a child, cuando le preguntó eso the interviewer, she like lit up. She's just like smiling, and she said that Rachel was the first one who talked, and then se rió like a laugh from like deep in her stomach. And
wow, like evil.
And then she said that she never had any problems with Rachel, and she was just like beaming, talking about Rachel. Rachel.
Y entonces, ¿qué piensa Rachel que la... Pues no, yo no sé qué...
Le seguía la corriente.
Le seguía la corriente. Maybe she was probably like, shit, si no le sigo la corriente me va a matar a mí también.
And maybe, or remember that those two sisters, que Foleo do, que like they share delusion? Maybe, pero... or they must have been some sort of psychological bond between both of them, between mother and daughter. And it was so strong that Diane got Rachel to go along with the plan to kill the whole fucking family. But in the end, it'd just be the fucking two of them. Al último, the plan...
That's really strange.
The plan was...
I'm sorry, that's really strange.
For it to be both of them.
Yeah.
But who's to say that al rato Diane'd be like, well, bitch, I'm going to kill you too. Al último.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking. Like, okay, si le dijo ella, well, I'm going to go along with her para que no me mate. But then at the same time, how does she know that she wasn't going to kill her eventually? I don't know. That's some crazy shit right there.
But then I'm thinking, okay, so Rachel's saying que the reason she dreamt this shit, right? And that's how she brought it up to her mom. And then that's how they, you know, came up with the plan. But do you think that's the way it happened? No.
That the mom already knew wanted to do to kill them and what way to do it as well.
So I wonder how that conversation started up then. Like she was like, hey,
I had this dream.
Let's kill your dad.
Yeah.
Y luego a lo mejor empezó con el dad, right? Obviously. Or did she right off the bat was like, hey, let's kill your dad and Sean.
Let's look at all of these people that live with us and who gets on our nerves more. Vamos a matarlos. Like, that is crazy. I can't.
Yeah. I don't know like what the plan was. Do you think people are not going to look at you guys weird? That the rest of 4 out of the 6 of the Staudte family.
And you not giving a shit and you not like.
You think people were going to look and think it was going to be weird, but whatever, you know?
Whatever.
Rachel was arrested and charged with the same, you know, charges as Diane, 1st-degree murder in her father's death and 1st-degree murder in Sean's as well. She was also charged with 1st-degree assault and armed criminal action regarding the injuries sustained by her sister Sarah. Brianna was placed in foster care.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Pobrecita.
And I couldn't find what happened to her after this. I don't know, you know, si había familia or any of that sort. I couldn't figure it out.
Or maybe even her sister.
¿Cuál?
¿La Sara se murió?
Hold on. We'll get there. In a separate interview with Diane after her arrest, McAmis asked her when they were planning to kill Brianna, right? Because by this time, Mackay soltó la sopa. And she said that sometime after Sarah.
Oh, wow.
When asked how she planned to do it, she said that Brianna liked root beer and that it could have easily gone the same way they did it with the others.
Wow. That's some evil fucking shit right there. So evil.
I don't know. I don't think I've ever... So McAmis asked her if the goal was to kill everyone, why was Sarah taken to the hospital? You know, why not let her pass away in the home like Mark and Sean? To this, Diane stated, quote, I didn't want another one to die in the house because houses are nasty after someone has died in it, end quote.
Wow. No fucks whatsoever. Not one.
Or remorse.
Yeah.
I don't know. You know, thankfully for Sarah, she was taken to the hospital and, as mentioned, was in critical condition. Doctors didn't believe she was going to make it, but her condition began to improve.
Oh, good.
It was miraculous that she'd survived. Like, it was truly a miracle. But the antifreeze caused major brain damage, and she was never going to be the same.
No wonder.
She had to relearn to do the most basic stuff, like walking.
Wow.
Both Diane and Rachel pleaded not guilty to the charges.
Not guilty. Oh, wow.
In Diane's case, the state planned to seek the death penalty, since all evidence pointed to her being the mastermind, with Rachel just going along with the plan. Mm-hmm. For Rachel, life in prison was the goal. During a hearing in May 2015, it was revealed that 24-year-old Rachel took a plea deal. She pleaded guilty to second-degree murder charge and agreed to testify against her mom at trial. So this was in exchange for 2 life sentences.
Instead of death?
Or without parole.
Oh, uh-huh.
During her sentencing in 2016, she did apologize to Sarah, and she was crying, but there was no tears, like that kind. As I mentioned, she was sentenced to life in prison with the possibility of parole in about 42 years. She would be eligible at the time that she is 65.
At the time that her dad died.
Close
in
to
her hands.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Diane's trial was postponed many times, and it was finally set for November of 2015. With there being so much evidence against Diane, and with the knowledge that Rachel was going to testify against her, she finally agreed to plead guilty to the charges and not risk going to trial and being possibly sentenced to death. Well, technically, she didn't plead guilty, but she took an Alford plea, which meant that she wasn't saying that she technically did it, but she understood that there was enough evidence to convict her of the charges. So she was sentenced to life in prison with no parole.
Okay. Did they take out, because of that, because of her doing that, that's why they didn't do the death penalty?
Right.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And there was no trial, because she pleaded guilty. So Sarah also gave an interview to 2020 and 2016, which was the first time that she had spoken publicly about what happened. At the time, she was still recovering and, living in an assisted home with a state-appointed guardian.
Because they didn't have any family.
Yeah, and she can't make big decisions for herself, in the interview, and she spoke very short sentences. In the interview, she said that after her dad and brother died, she thought that her mom was going to kill her next. She knew this because she read it in her mom's journal. Oh. So
why did she go to the cops?
She wrote, I believe if I read this correctly, because she said that she saw the date of Sean's death and that her name was also listed.
Oh, shit.
And this made her worry about her safety. And she said that she didn't want to die, so she brought it up to Diane, and that her mom told her not to worry, that she wasn't going to die, and to not read her journals anymore.
Wow.
So it appears, or it seems, that Sarah might have had some knowledge también about what was going on or what had happened. But now, obviously, it's hard to say with everything that happened to her, Mm-hmm. So she was asked how she felt when they, she woke up, that they told her what happened, that it was her mom and Rachel behind everything that happened. And she said that she wanted to slap both of them and wanted to call them the B word.
Poor thing.
Yeah. She was asked if she still considered Diane and Rachel family, and she said not anymore, that she doesn't even consider them people, but also at the same time, she loves them and hates them.
Yeah.
In the end, she stated that she forgave them because it's the right thing to do. And she still considers herself like a devout Christian, and she's very, tied with her faith. Now, this information was relayed to Diane, que dijo Sarah. And in response, she said that she was sorry for what Sarah went through, but that she's sorry for what everybody goes through. And in the daily life.
Oh, basically, it doesn't matter what you think or what you've gone through.
Everybody goes through
Everybody goes through shit.
Yeah.
You're not special. You didn't just die when I was giving you
dentifrice.
Yeah.
That she's sorry for what she herself went through, Diane.
Wow.
When asked if she thought that she was poisoned as well, she said that she couldn't rule it out. And to this day, she has never taken any responsibility for what she did. And when this interview in 2020 that took place in 2022, the interviewer showed her a picture of Sarah. You know what this bitch said?
What?
Oh, wow. she's gained some weight.
Wow. What a fucking bitch. Okay.
I don't know, like this. Why did she even agree to this interview? I don't understand.
Like, why are you even there? To make yourself feel better about yourself or what?
According to Diane, todavía, like, Rachel didn't even know the whole story. And she said that she'll never admit to anything that she did, like killing her family, and that she is going to stand by that till the grave.
Well, good for you. Good for you, but you're going to rot in jail, so it doesn't matter.
And that's the case of the Staudte family murders, also known as the antifreeze murders.
That's crazy. Thank you so much for letting us know about that case.
That crazy bitch.
Crazy bitch. Let us know what you think. If you would like to follow us, you can
on Instagram at Cafecito and Crime Pod. And if you would like to download our episodes, rate us, leave us a review. You know, we truly appreciate it. We appreciate all the support.
Thank you,
You can listen to us anywhere that you listen to podcasts, including YouTube, audio only. You can, follow us, like our shit, all that stuff.
All of the good stuff. We'll talk to you in the next one.
Bye.